Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you all here. Thank you for joining me today. And for those of you that have not attended the Sangha Garden before, this is an opportunity for us to come together in our shared field and to experience a communion, a connection. Today, our focus is finding yourself in these trying times. And to be honest, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, and I came to the conclusion that locating self is actually very difficult for people right now. And so I thought I would talk about that just a little bit. But before we get started, let's go ahead and open our field. So this is our shared field. Let's all take a deep breath together and open the shared field. Here we go, and invite the angels to come and our guidance, our beloved ancestors to witness us, the sacred, the holy. We invite that here, great teachers and healers. And as we allow this field to open, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Desda Zuckerman, and I've been doing this kind of work since I was a kid, to be honest, since I was a little girl. And I think that that's probably true for most of us. We've been invested in the search for our authentic self, our true nature. And as we move through this world, sometimes we lose that sense of self, don't we? Sometimes the sense of self evaporates and we become a cog in the wheel. We get a job and that's who we are. When people say, well, who are you? You start defining yourself by your job, the thing you do. And after a while, the thing you do and other people around you, your family, your friends, start to think of you as this thing you do. And you do things like cook or clean or mow the lawn. You do these everyday, ordinary things, and you become the person who does that. So just think for a moment about all those things you do in your life, all those tasks that you perform. And notice like how much of yourself you've put into those things. How much pride you take in your cooking or in your clean laundry. How much pride you put into just how good the edges are on your grass. Or your collections. People collect things. If you have collections, how much pride do you put into those? And what I'm going to suggest is that it's possible that in doing those things and thinking of yourself as a person who does those things, that identity that evolves out of that. So let's just say, you're a great accountant, or you're a really good lawyer, or you're a good healer, a good doctor, or you're a teacher. All those things are necessary in our world. But how much of yourself have you given away to those things? How much of yourself have you just lost along the way? As you've tried to lose another 10 pounds, you've actually lost something of yourself. Okay. So someone is saying they're having difficulty hearing me, and that's most likely on your end. So is anybody else having difficulty hearing me? No? Okay, thank you guys. All right, so as we lose ourselves with these little chunks, these little bits of ourself, and you go through life and you get to an august age, I'm at an august age. I'm 75. I'm a big girl now, I've arrived. And the truth is that I've lost parts of myself along the way. My identity as a mother, as a friend, as a companion, as a healer, as a creator, and I've lost parts of myself. And I asked myself this question about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I started really thinking about this. And I came to the conclusion that the thing that had happened was that I had forgotten in those moments when I feel disconcerted and unhappy, that what has happened is I've lost not just the center, but I've lost sort of that motivation to actually be me. Has that happened to any of you? Has that happened? And you kind of feel lost in the world sometimes, don't you? Now, I'm just speaking as a human here. And sometimes when I go to the store, do you ever get lost in the grocery store? Like wandering around and looking, you're there to get milk, right? And you're wandering around and you're looking, and there's people everywhere, and there's stuff all around. If we get lost in our daily lives, I guess the question is, what kind of spiritual practice am I using to center myself? Am I using one that is truly helping me return to my center, myself? Or am I doing something that's just rote? Am I doing something that's just like a habit? And in the doing of that, am I actually losing self again? So if we start thinking about self as the sacred self, if we start thinking about our oneness at the center of who we are, and in sacred anatomy, we call that the core. So the core is this long pillar of light at our center. And that pillar of light can never be broken or damaged or injured or wounded or traumatized, or it doesn't vote either. It's pillar of light. It's just pure. And I think sometimes we just forget we have that at the center. So finding ourself in trying times is actually finding that center, finding that pure core where we are in oneness, not just with the divine source, but we're in oneness with everything that has ever been and everything that we've ever been. But we're not in chunks, we're not in pieces, and we're not invested as an identity. So we have these identities, and they're kind of like masks, right? We put them on in the morning. We look in the mirror. Ladies might put some lipstick on or some eye makeup, and we're increasing our identity. We're fattening our identity up. We wear the clothes that make us look good. We do things. We buy glasses that look right on our face. And we create this identity. But how much energy have we put into finding that deeper identity, finding that authentic truth of who we are? So when we individuate at the beginning of our soul's journey, when we separate out from Source and we become a co-creative partner with Source, we have the option to remember the Source. But I think a lot of times we forget. And part of the journey of being a human being is the remembering, right? It's like, I've got to remember to eat right. I've got to remember, oops, I didn't drink any water today. I've got to remember to do these things. Oh, I have to call my girlfriend, or I have to show up for work again, So there's this stuff, right? We've got to remember all this stuff. But where on that list have you put connect with divine source? Was it like somewhere maybe forgot to put it on the list? Or have you felt like you've done your spiritual practice for the day, so it's checked off and you don't have to do it anymore? So finding self in trying times means remembering you are a spiritual entity and you are walking through the world as a core of light that is the manifestation of divine source. So that's who we are, every one of us. And if you and I are going to get on the same page and change the planet, not the earth, but the people on it, change us, we have to agree that we are equal to each other. So when I look at you, I'm looking at me. When I'm standing with you, I'm shoulder to shoulder with the greatest manifestation of light there is. Until we as human beings actually move to that place, I'm afraid we're going to be stuck in this merry-go-round that's just, woo, this spiral. I don't know about you, but I've got whiplash. I'm tired of this round and round. And I'd like to hold hands with every single one of you here today and breathe in together and feel that light at the center and know that we're walking out into the world unified as conscious beings, as ourselves, and not as some automaton or being that's made by our culture. Today's Flag Day in the United States. That means we're all supposed to, remember Betsy Ross who sewed the first flag, and whoop-dee, we're supposed to wave the flag. But I don't know about you. I think a lot of us have stopped identifying with the flag, and we've kind of moved away from, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to give myself away to some symbol. I think that's a good step, actually. Symbols are not who we are. We cannot give ourselves away to the emptiness of that. The truth about the void, all right, so there's a lot of talk in spiritual circles, and maybe in your own head, that could be happening, about moving into the void, giving away your ego, giving away all these parts of yourself. And here's what I'm going to say. I think you need to get a stronger ego. You need to get spiritual, strong ego. You need to get an ego that's so powerful that you can stand in the center of the whirlwind and know that you are aligned with the truth of who you are. So let's all take a deep breath together and know that we are in a tornado today. There is a tornado happening all around us. It's spinning and swirling, but that our core is so strong. The truth of who we are at the center is so aligned with the power of the universe, the light of the sun even, the planets in the sky, and beyond, the multiverses, the incredibly interesting life forms that are probably all over the universe. We're attuned to all of that within ourselves. And a little tornado, no big deal. We're just in the middle of it. And we get to see the humor of it. This is one of the things that when you give yourself away bit by bit, you know what you stop doing? Smiling. You stop smiling and you stop laughing. There are people that walk around that don't laugh at all, that don't smile, that aren't having any fun at all. I've always kind of thought that that part of, like, the Christian idea of when you go to the other side and then you're standing at the pearly gates and there's, Gabriel is going to let you in or not, I've always thought that the big question would be, was I entertaining enough? Did I entertain the divine enough? Was I on? Did you get my jokes? And I've always thought that would be the kind of the moment, when you get into heaven if you're really funny. So I think it's important to make yourself laugh at least once a day, guys. And remember that the part of you that's laughing is your true self. And I don't really care what makes you laugh. I mean, just pick something. That's why the one thing that the internet did was show kitten videos, right? That's the one really good thing. So you can look at a kitten video and you laugh. And you can discover maybe that chunk of you that you left behind at that grind of a job you did, So I think it's exciting to laugh every day, to smile every day, and to start getting the darn joke. Because to think that you actually are separated from this core of light at your center, from this divine truth that manifests throughout the entire universe and in every single person, to think that you're not that, that's hysterically funny. It's like an ember jumping out of the fireplace and saying, well, I'm not on fire anymore. It's just hysterical. So I think it's important to remember that lightness of being comes about through allowing yourself to be authentically who you are. We don't get to that good place without the deep breath. And you can practice and sit on that cushion or pray on till your knees are calloused, or, crawl across broken glass to try to get to spiritual awareness. But I think the best way to get there is to tell the truth about who you really are inside. And remember that little baby, that first came into the world and laughed hysterically when his father said, do, 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 You are that. And you're still that. I remember in the 60s, there was this whole thing about, love is all around us. Love is all you need, all this stuff about love. And at one point, I told my students, don't love me. Stop it. Because the weight of that love wasn't getting us anywhere. Because it's got a big agenda, right? Love me like I need to be loved. That's what love is. Love's not that. Love's this. So let's throw that idea out. And let's remember that the light inside us is the manifestation of pure truth. And that love emerges out of that. You don't have to make yourself love something. I mean, we work really hard to love things, like the flag. And we even have little kids saying a pledge of allegiance in school. That's a lot of hoopty. I don't know about you, but if you're not probably as old as me, but in the 60s, I protested because there were people in my country that didn't have liberty and justice for all. So I would sit during the pledge. I was a radical little hippie. I sat down. And it wasn't until my physiology teacher said, you're never going to change anything just sitting on your ass. And I thought, oh. And he'd been in the war in the 40s, and this guy was battle scarred. And so I started to stand again. And I realized if I stood with everybody, that my protest would be that I was standing with them, knowing that liberty and justice for all mattered. So I think this is the moment. I think on this Flag Day today, this is the moment. This is the moment when we all grab hands, grab onto each other, and let each other know not only that we care, but that we can be counted on. We can be counted on. I can count on you, you can count on me. And we are walking forward together, pillars of light, manifestations of truth, co-creative, divine manifestations, inventing and reinventing, renewing and releasing, inspiring and holding, expanding, and loving. All of those things that give us the potential to have a tomorrow. You coming to tomorrow with me? Come on. And I'm interested in, my tomorrow being fun. So what can we do today? What can we do today? One thing that we could do today to make our lives fun. Can we have a picnic maybe? What can we do to make life fun? Can we remember that every cell in our body is filled with light? That everything we look at is moving and spiraling? That there is nothing really solid in the universe? Does that make you happy? It kind of makes me happy. That everything is always in flux. So let's all breathe in together. And let's take those feelings, that hope for tomorrow, that desire for our families to have goodness and warmth, our love of humanity, our need for peace on earth. And let's allow that to radiate out. Radiate out from that inner core. Because at that inner core, we have all those things. You already have peace on earth. You already have all the love you need. And you have hope. And you have trust. And any part of you that doesn't know that is just noise. Oh. Hi. Look at that light coming out of your face. Look at that joyous nature. Look at that potential. Ooh. So do something fun today. Laugh. Not at someone, but with someone. Tickling always helps. The joyous nature that truly lives within divine source. And of course it does. Look at the joy that it takes for a little mourning dove to hold a twig in their mouth, knowing they're building a nest. That's joyous. Look at the sprouts coming up from the earth. Little tiny basil seeds now becoming basil. It's just so joyous. Let yourself see it. Don't filter your vision. It's not helpful, is it? Let yourself see the kernel of joy within your own heart. Feel it now. Feel that light. Feel that light opening. Feel that opening light at the center of your chest. It's golden. It's beautiful. It's got white sparkles. It's coming. It's rose red. It's moving out. You are at your center. You are the Buddha. You are Jesus. You are the great teachers. You are the Mother Mary. You are the goddess. You are the divine host at your center. It's what the great saints and sages know. They know that, and they live in that. And that worshipful nature knows no distance between divine source and the peace of love and kindness and mindfulness that gives us tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Divine Source, we give over the need to identify as strong and powerful and good and everything. We give it over in this moment to the truth of our own beauty and happiness, joyous nature. You know, if you really look, tranquility and depression are practically the same thing. It's one of the cosmic jokes that depressed people are actually very tranquil. So allow yourself to just step out of what that identity with all those chunks you've lost has been and step into a new identity, one that has less barriers, one that's less afraid, and one that's committed to sparkling, to shining. All you have to do is look in the mirror and see your own sparkling eyes and nature shining out, and look into the eyes of your family and friends and really see who they are. So I challenge you to do that today. I challenge you to laugh. I challenge you to do something fun. And I challenge you to look into the eyes of somebody that you know or even don't know and really see them and see their shining light. Ooh! So, in union with all the source that is, the divinity of truth and beauty and the compassion of the universal consciousness, we stand in alignment, we hold ourselves at our center, and we allow that core to shine out brightly, golden light shining out, little sparkling white stars, and we become as brilliant as the stars in the night sky, as brilliant as a comet flying by, as brilliant as the sun, as brilliant as our own soul's nature will let us be. I've had fun with you today. Thank you so much for coming to this party. The Sangha Garden, we have another one coming up next month rather. Well, it could be just as fast as next week. Cheryl, what's the date? I've forgotten. There it is, July 12th, almost next week. Come and hang out with me here. It's a lot of fun. And come join us. Yeah, come ask me anything on Friday the 17th of July, 10 o'clock in the morning. Come hang out and really bring any question you have. I run at every question. And some of them are pretty interesting questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here with me. And I'll see you at the next Sangha Garden. Go laugh.